Hey BookTube, welcome back to the History Shelf. I am your host Peg. Thanks for joining me today on this Friday afternoon. Today we've got a slew of new history arrivals. Many of these are finished copies, and then I have some that are upcoming. They just keep rolling in here at the History Shelf. But I also wanted to say, if you stick around towards the end, we're going to have a giveaway of some advanced review copies. If you don't mind having unproofed versions, if you just want to kind of take a look at it, an uncorrected proof, I've got 3 that I'm giving away. No, I'm sorry, I have 2 and then 1 finished copy because I have a duplicate. So stick around for the giveaway info at the end of the video. Well, I know some of you are going to fast forward, but that's okay. But you're going to miss out. You're going to miss out on a ton of new history titles. You're going to want to know about these. So let's start off with the good folks at W.W. Norton. I love their history output. Teaser. If you like what I'm about to show you, stick around to the end then, okay? Okay. I have started reading this book, and I am enjoying it thus far. Still in the early pages, but I love ancient history, and especially when it talks about the forgotten women, specifically, I should say, in Rome. And this is out right now. This is Clodia of Rome, Champion of the Republic by Douglas Boyne. Nice, bright, neon pink spine. This is really it's grabbing my attention, and I'm really enjoying it. But let me give you a quick rundown here. One of Rome's most powerful women, Clodia, has been maligned over 2,000 years as a promiscuous husband-murdering harlot, thanks to her starring role in one of Cicero's most famous speeches in the Forum. But Cicero was lying in defense of his own property and interests. Like so many women libeled or erased from history, Clodia had a life that was much more interesting, complex, and nuanced than the corrupted version passed down through generations. And then it goes on for a little bit. Freed from the caricature that Cicero painted of her, Clodia serves as a reminder of countless women whose stories have been erased from the historical record. In a Rome whose citizens were engaged in heated debates on imperialism, immigration, and enfranchisement, amidst rising anxieties about women's role in society, Clodia was an icon, one worth remembering today. So I've got a finished copy. I am really enjoying this. Stick around to the end. I'm telling you, people. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Okay, the next book. Thank you to the good folks at Norton sending me a finished copy of this book that I don't... Did I show the other one yet? Oh, I love the inserts. Very colorful. But what is it? I'll tell you. It is The Far Edges of the Known World, Life Beyond the Borders of Ancient Civilization by Owen Rees. And that name is very familiar to me. I feel like I've read something by him before. But this is out right now. Let's take a look at this. It's another great ancient history work here. It says a revisionist history of the ancient world that shifts our focus from Athens and Rome to the long-ignored societies on the borders. When Ovid was exiled from Rome to a border town on the Black Sea, he despaired at his bleak and barbarous new surroundings. Like many Greeks and Romans, Ovid thought the outer reaches of his world was where civilization ceased to exist. Our own fascination with the Greek and Roman world has for centuries followed this perspective, shrouding cultures at the far reaches of their influence and myth. But what was it like to live on the edges of these empires, on the boundaries of the known world? In this book, ancient historian Owen Rees draws on archaeological excavations to reveal these so-called borders as thriving multicultural spaces. This is where the boundaries of civilized and barbarian began to dissipate, where traditional rules didn't always apply, where different cultures intermarried, and where nomadic tribes built their own cities. Transporting readers through historical spheres of influence, Rees journeys from the sandy caravan routes of Morocco to the freezing winters of the northern Black Sea, from the Red River Valley of Vietnam to the rain-lashed forts south of Hadrian's Wall. Beyond well-remembered figures like Cleopatra and Caesar, Rees introduces us to the everyday people who called the borderlands home. We meet an enterprising sex worker in Egypt's Naucratis, gambling soldiers at Hadrian's Wall in England, a Greco-Buddhist monk hailing from the Ganges, and more. As Rees shows, exchanges of trends, ideas, even religious practices were happening all over the world. And so this gives us a new lens into seeing the ancient world. And I cannot wait to start this one, which I will start after I finish with Clodia. So The Far Edges of the Known World, Life Beyond the Borders of Ancient Civilization by Owen Rees. Both books are out now from W.W. Norton. So, again, stick around to the end. All right, so let's move on into books that have been out for a little bit, but I'm just now getting to. This is another book I want to read real fast, and then my cousin has asked if I can send it to her. Sherry, you got it. And hi, Aunt Joyce, in case you're watching. This is Lincoln's Lady Spymaster by Jerry Willis, the untold story of the abolitionist Southern belle who helped win the Civil War. I'm pretty sure I haven't shown this one yet on the channel. It's about Elizabeth Van Lew. Okay, so wealthy Southern belle Elizabeth Van Lew had it all. Money, charm, wit, the most elegant mansion in Richmond. So why risk everything to become a Union spy? The answer was simple: freedom. In this gripping Civil War history, Jerry Willis charts the making of a spymaster genius. Right in the heart of the Confederate capital, Elizabeth played the society lady while building a secret espionage network of slaves, unionists, and prisoners of war. It would cost her almost everything. Flouting society's expectations for women, Elizabeth infiltrated prisons and defied public opinion. She met assassins, socialites, escape artists, and cross-dressing spies. From grave robbery to a bold voyage across enemy lines, Elizabeth's escapades only grew more daring. But it paid off. By the war's end, she had agents in both the Confederate War Department and the Richmond White House, and her couriers provided General Ulysses S. Grant with the crucial daily intelligence for his final assault. With extensive and fresh research, Willis uncovers the Southern abolitionist heroine that the lost cause buried in an unbelievable tale of one woman's courage, resistance, and liberation. All right. Lincoln's Lady Spymaster restores a forgotten hero to her rightful place as an American icon. All right, well, slim little volume, and it's put out by Harper. This is out right now. This is on my soon-to-be-read pile because I will be sharing the book with others. All right, this is a book I meant to show you in my last new history haul, or new arrivals, and I just didn't get around to it. This book came out in June, and it sounded different enough that I wanted to check it out. This is from Dutton Books, and this is American Scare, Florida's Hidden Cold War on Black and Queer Lives by Robert W. Feisler. It's a pretty big, beefy book here. Again, this came out in June. This is a vital expose for both our history and our present day, telling the riveting story of how the Florida government destroyed the lives of black and queer citizens in the 20th century. In January 1959, Art Copleston was escorted out of his college accounting class by 3 police officers. In a motel room, blinds drawn, he sat in front of a state senator and the legal counsel for the Florida Legislative Investigation Committee, nicknamed the Johns Committee. His crime? Being a suspected homosexual. And the government of Florida would use any tactic at its disposal, legal or not, to get Copleston to admit it. Using a secret trove of primary source documents that had been decoded and decensored for the first time in history, journalist Robert Feisler unravels the mystery of what actually happened behind the closed doors of an inquisition that held ordinary citizens ransom to its extraordinary powers. The state of Florida would prefer that this history remain buried. Sorry. But for nearly a decade, the Florida legislature funded and supported the Johns Committee, an organization using the cover of communism to viciously attack members of the NAACP and queer professors and students. Spearheaded by Charlie Johns, a multi-term politician in a gerrymandered legislature, the committee was determined to eliminate any threats to the state's white conservative regime. Feisler describes the heartbreaking ramifications for citizens of Florida whose lives were imperiled, profiling marginalized residents with compassion and a determination to bring their devastating experiences to light at last. So, this is a page-turning reckoning of our racist and homophobic past and its chilling parallels to today. All right, indeed. So, there's a lot going on in this book. It's probably going to enrage me, but American Scare by Robert Feisler, out now from Dutton Books. Check it out if this topic interests you. It's definitely ties into a lot of the shenanigans going on today. What else do we got here that's finished? All right. Viking was kind enough to send me a review copy or a finished copy of this book, which I did not even know about this. This book just went on sale actually on Tuesday, so August 12th. This is a brand new book. Let me see if I can find a short. This is a big pub sheet. Wow. Okay. Let me just introduce it to you first. This is The Fort Bragg Cartel, Drug Trafficking and Murder in the Special Forces by Seth Harp. Let me see if I can just get the synopsis here. Sorry for the noise. Let's see here. No, I'm going to read from the jacket here. A groundbreaking investigation into a string of unsolved murders at America's premier special operations base and what the crimes reveal about drug trafficking and impunity among elite soldiers in today's military. In December 2020, a deer hunter discovered 2 bodies that had been riddled with bullets and dumped in a forested corner of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. One of the dead men, Master Sergeant William Billy Levine, was a member of Delta Force, the most secretive black ops unit in the military. A deeply traumatized veteran of America's classified assassination program, Levine had done more than a dozen deployments in his lengthy career, was addicted to crack cocaine, dealt drugs on base, and had committed a series of violent crimes before he was mysteriously killed. The other victim, Chief Warrant Officer Timothy Dumas, was a quartermaster attached to the Special Forces who used his proximity to clandestine missions to steal guns and traffic drugs into the U.S. from abroad, and had written a blackmail letter threatening to expose criminality in the Special Operations Task Force in Afghanistan. As soon as Seth Harp, an Iraq War veteran and investigative reporter, began looking into the double murder, he learned that there have been many more unexplained deaths at Fort Bragg recently, all with some apparent connection to drug trafficking in elite units, as well as dozens of fatal overdoses. Drawing on declassified documents, trial transcripts, police records, and hundreds of interviews, Harp tells a scathing story of narco-trafficking in the Special Forces, drug conspiracies abetted by corrupt police, blatant military cover-ups, American complicity in the Afghan heroin trade, and the pernicious consequences of continuous war. Indeed, this is a pretty important book. That's pretty explosive, guys. Drug trafficking within the Special Forces. That's something you do not want to see. So this is a pretty important title. I need to get to this sooner rather than later because I wasn't even aware of this. Yeah, bring it on. Let's see what he has to say. Again, from Viking Books. Out right now, because August 12th is when it was published, so ready to go with that one. Let's see, what else do we have going on here? Oh, this is another one I want to get to. There's so many of them. This book is out right now from a publisher called Thesis Publishing, or Thesis Books, and it's called The Genius Myth: A Curious History of a Dangerous Idea by Helen Lewis. All right. So this is going to be interesting, and this might push some buttons for me. You can tell what a society values by who it labels a genius. You can also tell who it excludes, who it enables, and what it is prepared to tolerate. In The Genius Myth, Helen Lewis unearths how this one word has shaped and distorted our ideas of success and achievement. Ultimately, argues Lewis, the modern idea of genius, a single, preternaturally gifted individual, usually white and male, exempt from social niceties and sometimes even the law, has run its course. Braiding deep research with her signature wit and lightness, Lewis dissects past and present models of genius in the West and reveals a far deeper and more interesting picture of human creativity than conventional wisdom allows. She uncovers a battalion of overlooked wives and collaborators. She asks whether most inventions are inevitable. She wonders if the Beatles would succeed today. And she confronts the vexing puzzle of Elon Musk, the tech disruptor who fancies himself as an Ubermensch. Smart, funny, and provocative, the Genius Myth will challenge your assumptions about creativity, productivity, and innovation, and forever alter your mental image of the so-called genius. That remains to be seen, because I do think there is such a thing as genius. There's just no way to get around that. These days, I think, except for in the realm of physics or something, I don't think there's a lot of geniuses today. But back in the day there were. Sure there was. Anyway, I'm interested to check this out and see if if it's going to enrage me, or maybe she's going to make some points that I'm like, well, I never considered it like that. I want to leave my mind open. But this is The Genius Myth by Helen Lewis, out right now from Thesis Publishing. This book, I meant to read this in conjunction. Well, this came out. This copy was really slow in getting to me, so I wasn't able to review it for shelf awareness. But I wanted to, this was a couple months ago, because I had just finished reading a dual biography of two royal ladies in Europe at the time, and that was, well, one of them was this woman, Eugenie de Montijo, Empress Eugenie from France, okay? Well, on the heels of that dual biography that I read, which I loved, they had a brand new book come out from Hanover Square Press, and this is The Last Empress of France, The Rebellious Life of Eugenie de Montijo by P.D. Kladstrup and Evelyn Resnick. Not too big of a, it's not an overwhelming biography. It's a little over 300 pages. But I still want to read this to see if it kind of coincides with what I learned about Eugenie from the other book. And I'm trying to remember The Rebel Empresses. I think that was the one I read. It was really good. Although a 19th century woman, her almost 21st century outlook was key to the creation of modern France. Viewed frequently as a mere ornament of the throne of her husband, Emperor Napoleon III, this Spanish-born aristocrat proved to be almost as fiery as her red hair, fighting against institutional limitations, establishing innovations in childcare and women's health, scientific research and education, battling anti-Semitism and sex prejudice, all the while displaying a political acumen so sharp that her husband gave her sole control of the government during his absences and consulted her daily when he was home. That was true, and that was covered in the other book that I read. But the triumphs and glamour of her life were coupled with heartbreak and tragedy. It says here, this first definitive American biography of Eugenie restores her far-reaching legacy to history. So this is an American biography. So I'm looking forward to digging into that and kind of revisiting her after having read about her in that last book I really enjoyed. The Rebel Empresses. Was that by Goldstone? Can't remember, but there are some illustrations throughout, nothing too major, no color inserts or anything like that. But anyway, Hanover Square Press, The Last Empress of France, if you are interested. Here are a couple that I requested because I don't know why I didn't get one of them, because that is my métier, my fort. I can't wait to read this. This is Midnight on the Potomac, The Last Year of the Civil War, The Lincoln Assassination, and the Rebirth of America by Scott Ellsworth. This is another Dutton release. A really striking cover. Love that moonlight on the Potomac there. Interesting. Okay. Told with a page-turning pace, Scott Ellsworth's Midnight on the Potomac is a compelling portrait of an America on the verge of coming apart forever. Focusing on the last desperate months of the Civil War, when the outcome was far from certain, Midnight on the Potomac is a story of titanic battles, political upheaval, and the long-forgotten Confederate terror war against the loyal citizens of the North. As we go behind the scenes in the White House, along the battlefront in Virginia, and into the conspiracies of spies and secret agents, Lincoln walks these pages, as do Grant and Sherman. But so do common soldiers, runaway slaves, and an intrepid female war correspondent named Lois Adams. Rarely, if ever, has a book about the Civil War featured such a rich and diverse cast of characters. It says as well that this book will also shatter some long-held myths. For more than a century and a half, the Lincoln assassination has been portrayed as the sole brainchild of a disgruntled pro-South actor. But based on both obscure contemporary accounts and decades of long-ignored scholarship, Ellsworth reveals that for nearly 1 year before the tragic events at Ford's Theater, John Wilkes Booth had been working closely with agents of the Confederate Secret Service. And the real Booth is far from the one we've long been presented with. I've heard that before. Well, we'll see. I'm going to see what this has to say. Deeply researched, yet captivatingly written, Midnight on the Potomac is a new kind of book about the Civil War. In it, you will read about the Confederate attempt to burn down New York City, how Lincoln almost lost the presidency. That should be fairly well known, right? About the rebel general who nearly captured Washington. That would be Jubal Early, right? And how thousands of enslaved African Americans freed themselves and helped secure their nation's survival. In an age of deep political divisions, such as our own, Scott Ellsworth's book is an eloquent and gripping testament to the courage, grit, and greatness of the American people. So this is Midnight on the Potomac. Really curious to see what new portrait of John Wilkes Booth is going to emerge from this. So that remains to be seen, but I can't wait to dive in. This is a book I wanted to read in light of... Oh, Peggy. Yes. Okay. This book is from Public Affairs, I should say, and I kind of got a water-damaged review copy, but that's okay. Totally okay with it. This is The Folly of Realism: How the West Deceived Itself About Russia and Betrayed Ukraine by Alexander Vindman, who... I had just ordered this book. It was discounted on bookoutlet.com. This other book that he wrote was only like $4.99. It's still available for $4.99. He wrote this. Here, Right Matters, An American Story. He's the retired lieutenant colonel on the U.S. Army, Alexander Vindman. I'll explain to you a little bit about this book, but let me get into this one first because this is his most recent book. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, 6 U.S. presidential administrations of both parties pursued policies for Russia, Ukraine, and Eurasia that emboldened Russia, playing into its imperialist, centuries-long mythos of regional hegemony. The result, military aggression and full-scale invasion. It was all too foreseeable. In The Folly of Realism, leading national security expert and best-selling author Alexander Vindman argues that America's mistakes in Eastern Europe result from policymakers' fixation on immediate short-term problem-solving and misplaced hopes and fears. He proposes a new long-term values-based approach that insists on the fundamentals of liberal democracy and a rules-based world order. Enlivened by first-hand accounts and behind-the-scenes interviews with leading Washington and international policymakers, and culminating in the shocking brutality of Putin's invasions of Ukraine, the book exposes the follies of Western foreign policymaking, highlights the dangerous return of Russian imperialism, and prescribes how it can be contained. So definitely wanted to read this book from his own, personal experience, having worked in, the national security field and foreign policy, foreign policy department. Oh, sweet. We got some of these. We got some maps too, and which is helpful. You got to kind of really understand, especially like, does anyone really even know out there where you can locate Ukraine on the map? Anyway, so this is his latest work, The Folly of Realism, from Public Affairs. That's out right now. And this other book that he put out, this one came out in 2021, and this was put out by Harper, which it tells a personal story, which is also still pretty important. It says here, 0900 Thursday, July 25th, 2019. President Donald Trump called Ukraine's president, Volodymyr Zelensky, supposedly to congratulate him on his recent victory. In the months that followed, the American public would learn what happened on that call only because Alexander Vindman felt duty-bound to report it up the chain of command. That the President of the United States had extorted a foreign ally to damage a political challenger at home. Vindman's actions and subsequent testimony before Congress would lead to Trump's impeachment and affirm Vindman's belief that he had done the right thing in the face of intense pressure to stay silent. But it would come at an enormous cost, straining relationships with colleagues, superiors, and even his own father, and eventually end his decorated career in the U.S. Army by a Trump administration intent on retribution, which is all that they're in business to do, apparently, is just to go after everyone they hate. Here, Right Matters is Vindman's proud, passionate, and candid account of his family, his career, and the moment of truth he faced for his nation. As an immigrant raised by a father who fled the Soviet Union in pursuit of a better life for his children, Vindman learned about respect for truth throughout his education and military service. As this memoir makes clear, his decision to speak up about the July 25th call was never a choice. It was Vindman's duty as a naturalized citizen and a member of the armed forces. In the wake of his testimony, he would endure furious partisan attacks on his record and his loyalty. But far louder was the extraordinary chorus of support from citizens who were collectively intent on reaffirming an abiding American commitment to integrity. Imagine if we could just get more people to be interested in integrity. So I wanted to read his book, and I wanted to support him. I'm going to be reading this as well. Who knows? Maybe at some point I might coax Mr. Vindman to come on the channel for an interview. So those are two other books I wanted to share with you. Where are we at? 28 minutes. And then I got a finished copy of this book. This book is from Harper. I just think we would call this a history, social history. What is this? Let me get my pup sheet. Okay. This is The Strangers by Ikao Ushin. 5 Extraordinary Black Men and the Worlds That Made Them. And this came out in July, so this is out right now. Let me see, because I'm running out of time here. In the Western imagination, a black man is always a stranger, outsider, foreigner, intruder, alien, one who remains associated with their origins irrespective of how far they have traveled from them, one who is not an individual in his own right, but the representative of a type. What kind of performance is required for a person to survive this condition? What happens beneath the mask? What is the cost to the mind and body, to one's relationships and one's sense of self? Searching for answers, Ikao Ushin channels the voices of 5 very different individuals, each man a renowned trailblazer in his field, each man haunted by a sense of isolation and exile, each man a stranger in his own world. And so the 5 men that he covers here are Ira Aldridge, 19th century British actor and playwright; Matthew Henson, the first black man to reach the North Pole; Frantz Fanon, French Martinique. I think he's from the island of Martinique. So French Martinician, psychiatrist, and political philosopher; Malcolm X, civil rights activist and leader; and Justin Fashanu, Britain's first openly gay professional footballer. Telling their stories, Ishan pushes the boundaries of genre to capture them in all their complexity, interweaving biography, fiction, historical record, and memoir, sharing his own experiences living as a black Briton in the art world. Interesting. The Strangers illuminates both the hostility and the beauty each man encounters, positioning them all within a wider landscape of black art, culture, history, and politics throughout the diaspora. So, if that sounds intriguing, you guys, this is out right now from Harper Books. Maybe you can find it at your library or ask them to order it for you. But yeah, I think this is definitely one I want to dip into. Some of those names I don't recognize. I'd like to learn more. The Strangers. All right. And then here we have another one that is sure to incite a comment or two in the comment section. Whenever I've shown books on the channel before about written from the Palestinian perspective, but when I show books about like Jewish history or memoir, there's always someone that comments. And I understand there's a lot of things happening today that are horrible. But anyway, I wanted to read this, and I wanted to share this with you. This is from Harper Books as well. This is from Harper 1. And this book, is it out right now? I think it is. Well, I got a finished copy, so I think if it's not out right now, it will be very, very soon. Why is there no date on here? Anyway, this is As a Jew, Reclaiming Our Story from Those Who Blame, Shame, and Try to Erase Us by Sarah Hurwitz. So, this is going to be, it's definitely taking a position. Okay. What does it say here? A typical lapsed Jew, at age 36, Sarah Hurwitz attended an Introduction to Judaism class and was astonished to uncover thousands of years of wisdom, sparking a journey of discovery that transformed her life. Years later, as Hurwitz wrestled with what it means to be Jewish at a time of rising anti-Semitism, she wondered, why hadn't she seen the beauty and depth of her tradition in those dull synagogue services and Hebrew school classes she'd endured as a kid? Why had her Jewish identity consisted of a series of caveats and apologies? Quote, I'm Jewish, but not that Jewish, end quote, or I'm just a cultural Jew. Seeking answers, she went back through time to discover how hateful myths about Jewish power, depravity, and conspiracy had worn a neural groove into the world's psyche, and how her Jewish identity had been shaped by millennia of anti-Semitism and centuries of Jewish self-erasure. Hurwitz documents her quest to take back her Jewishness, how she stripped away layers of anti-Semitic lies, unearthed the treasures of Jewish tradition, and learned to live proudly, gratefully, and joyfully as a Jew. Oh, yeah, Sarah Hurwitz. She was a White House speechwriter from 2009 to 2017, and starting out as a senior speechwriter for President Barack Obama. Oh, that's fascinating. Okay. So, yeah, I definitely wanted to read this, and I will be. This is As a Jew by Sarah Hurwitz. Should be out right now from Harper Books. Harper 1. It's a very pretty cover. I love the colors, I should say. The cover and the colors are very beautiful. All right. Now, am I moving into books that have not... Oh, wait. I got one more I want to show you. All right, this is an interesting. I'll be reading this just for my own, obviously edification, but also as a way to learn more about AI. But this speaks to me particularly because as it ties into military and AI. And this is a new book called Beast and the Machine: How Robotics and AI Will Transform Warfare and the Future of Human Conflict by George M. Dougherty. It's put out by a publisher called Ben Bella Books. It must be a new little publishing house. Yeah, this is going to be good. Ben Bella Books. The fast-moving technologies involved in robotic warfare are disrupting the military world and shifting the balance of power. And he says in this book, we can navigate this coming storm before it's too late. Let's see here. Beast and the Machine offers a fascinating exploration of the future of combat. It's a whirlwind journey through previously secret robotic combat missions from both world wars to the war on terrorism and across today's lethal battlefields in Ukraine and beyond. Informed by insider expertise as well as a humane moral perspective, Dougherty tackles this controversial subject head-on, explaining how the revolution's early stages are already disrupting current conflicts with consequences that will transform the global balance of power. Why traditional military platforms like tanks, ships, and aircraft will be replaced by robotic systems that look like nothing seen before. It's terrifying. How self-organizing drone units will make the atmospheric littoral, the new key terrain. What threats are more dangerous than an all-powerful AI? And how we can ensure the ethical use of robotic weapons and AI in combat? And why the winners and losers of the new era may not be who we expect. It says here the U.S. and other global democracies must navigate this disruptive era wisely or risk becoming its victims. Beast and the Machine is an invitation for all of us to join the conversation on the future of human armed struggle while there's still time to shape what's coming. So this is going to be something that's probably going to terrify me once I read it all the way through. But I'll be annotating this heavily just because of my own military interest and background. I have been wondering, I mean, obviously with drone warfare and everything else, it's already, the landscape has already changed, but what else can we expect with the specter of AI and weaponry? It's terrifying. Beast and the Machine by George M. Dougherty, out right now from Ben Bella Books. Okay. And then these are upcoming, but I might not do all of them because most of these I'll do 2. I'll do 3. I'm going to save the November releases for an upcoming video. Actually, yeah. Okay. What is going on, Peggy? Actually, I love how I change my mind as I'm doing it. I put a big stack together and I'm like, I'm going to cover all of these. But I think what I'll do is stick with a couple. Okay. These are books that are actually, I'm going to have 2 more. I'm going to show you one that came out in July and one that's coming out next month in September. These other ones are October and November releases. Woo! So I'm going to save these, and these are all galleys. These are in galley format. So I'll save these for my next new history, fall preview. Because I still have to show you the giveaway at the end. Yes. Okay, so this is a book. I'm sorry, I'm just showing it to you now that I wanted to highlight for you. This is from Atria Books. This came out, published on July 15th. And this is Nothing More of This Land, Community Power in the Search for Indigenous Identity by Joseph Lee. Okay. Oh, okay. I don't know what that was for. Thank you for that. Before Martha's Vineyard became one of the most iconic vacation destinations in the country, it was home to the Wampanoag people. Today, as tourists flock to the idyllic beaches, the island has become increasingly unaffordable for tribal members, with nearly 3/4 now living off-island. Growing up Aquinnah Wampanoag, journalist Joseph Lee grappled with what this situation meant for his tribe, how the community can continue to grow, and more broadly, what it means to be indigenous. In Nothing More of This Land, Lee weaves his own story and that of his family into a panoramic narrative of indigenous life around the world. He takes us from the beaches of Martha's Vineyard to the icy Alaskan tundra, the smoky forests of Northern California, to the halls of the United Nations and beyond. Along the way, he meets activists fighting to protect their land, families clashing with their own tribal leaders, and communities working to reclaim tradition. Together, these stories reject stereotypes to show the diversity of indigenous people today and chart a way past the stubborn legacy of colonialism. So that sounds, I like reading these type of memoirs that just kind of clue me into other people and just other, cultural experiences and, and then the very real history of, I've always been very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Ever since I was a little girl, I was so interested in Native Americans and the indigenous people here, their stories, and just the horrible, between slavery and then what we did to the Native Americans. I mean, those are the biggest, the biggest black spots in our country's history, frankly. But anyway, we've got some interesting maps here to kind of show you. And the Wampanoags were just such a fascinating tribe, and their history and their relations with the first settlers coming over from England. I just love reading about it. So, and to read this in a context of like an actual descendant, an actual, a member of the Wampanoag people, yeah. I'm looking forward to reading this. So, wanted to let you guys know about it as well. This is out right now from Atria Books, Joseph Lee's Nothing More of This Island. So excited about this book. This is from let me get it right. This is from Knopf, the good publishers, the good people at Knopf Publishing. This is a new book by Jonathan Healy, and I loved his last book, which I reviewed, I think for Shelf Awareness. I think I did. I know I wrote a review of his last book, The Blazing World. It was amazing. Well, he's got a new book coming out September 16th, and that is The Blood in Winter, England on the Brink of Civil War, 1642. Yeah. And he wrote The Blazing World, A New History of Revolutionary England, 1603 to 1689. That was a fantastic book. I cannot recommend that highly enough. So he's got another one coming out, and I really want to get a finished copy of this one because this is my galley at the moment. But let's see here. In 1641, England exits a plague-ridden and politically unstable summer, having reached a semblance of peace. The English and Scottish armies have disbanded. Legislation has passed to ensure that Parliament will continue to sit, and the people are tentatively optimistic. But King Charles I is not satisfied with peace. He wants revenge. So begins England's winter of discontent, as revolutionary sects of London begin to generate new ideas about democracy, as radical new religious groups seek power, and as Ireland explodes into revolt. Charles hatches a plan to restore his absolute rule. On January 4th, 1642, he marches on Westminster, seeking to arrest and impeach 5 members of Parliament, and sets in motion a series of events that will lead to bloodshed and war, changing a nation forever. The Blood in Winter tells the story of an English people's great political awakening. Jonathan Healy utilizes meticulous archival research to recreate the claustrophobic atmosphere of the day, with rowdy protesters in the streets and London blanketed in coal smoke. Taut and thrilling, Healy's newest social history shows us what really happened during those fraught winter months that led to civil war, from the radical enclaves of London public houses to a king forced from his capital by the people. It is a rich tapestry of a society in profound distress. And I loved his writing in The Blazing World, and so I think this is going to be just another enjoyable read from Jonathan Healy. Again, Blood and Winter, coming to you at a bookstore or library September 16th from Knopf Books. All right. Now, let's get to the giveaway. So I teased it in the beginning. I have 2 advanced review copies. So all I need you guys to do is, if you want to be entered into the random drawing, just say which book it is that you want to be entered in for in the comments below, along with your other insightful commentary on these books. We're going to be giving this, it's nice, crisp, brand new advanced review copy of Clody of Rome, Champion of the Republic by Douglas Boyne. And I've got an advanced review copy of The Far Edges of the Known World by Owen Rees. So if you, again, need the description of what it's about, go back to the beginning of this video, because these are the first 2 books I showed and discussed. Although it's interesting with this particular book, well, these are in black and white, but still, even in the advanced review copy, guys, you might not have color, but you still will have all the photographs, artifacts. They at least include those, so you can get a feel. So if you're interested in either one, like I said, comment below. And then I have a finished copy of Beast in the Machine. So if AI weapon systems, like how AI is going to integrate with military wars of the future, if that kind of stuff is interesting to you, also throw your hat in the ring in the comment section below. What I'm going to do is I'll wait about a week from the posting of this video, and then I'm just going to go in and enter in all the usernames into a document, just a random generator, and then it gives me like a wheel to spin, and then I'll find the winner, and I'll reply back to you in the comments saying you won. So just kind of keep an eye out, like maybe a week after this video, to see if you won. But you'll get a finished copy, because I have 2 finished copies of this book. So Beast in the Machine is the other giveaway. Having said that, guys, next time I come to you with new history, we're going to be tackling books coming out, unless I get some late arrivals that are for books in September. We're pretty much almost through all my... I don't think I'll get any more books that were from August, but you never know. But anyway, I think we're moving. I'm getting galleys for things that are in October, November, December. I'm even getting stuff for next year. So stay tuned. I think about a week from now, I'll do another fall preview of new history coming out in the fall months. So that's coming soon. In the meantime, thanks for joining me here at the History Shelf. Please subscribe and like and comment. It all helps the channel. It helps me to keep doing what I'm doing. So I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming along on the ride, guys. And hey, have a great weekend out there and read some good books. All right.